Hello, happy Sunday. I hope all things are well wherever you are. I'm over here looking at comments. Hey, tea time. That tickled me to see your comment before we started. Oftentimes, I'm sitting here preparing myself, getting ready. But to see your comment before we went live, that made my heart jump. And so I immediately ran over to my altar to say thank you to my ancestors because it has been a wave of emotions today. But I'm thankful that through you, I was able to shift that. And hey, beautiful. And I needed to go say thank you to my top three ancestors who guide me. So hey y'all, happy Sunday. I trust, I hope, I pray that wherever you are, things are well for you. Tea time, like I said, that made me chuckle. Hey Miss Erica, how you doing? Happy Sunday to you. Hello, beautiful sister, all the way down south. Hey, how are you? Here in the little state of Delaware, we had a little bit of snow over the weekend. It didn't amount to much where I am, but I do know that in some places in Pennsylvania, Jersey, there is still snow on the ground. So wherever you are, be safe. I hope that you are warm. I hope that wherever you are in the world, that the world is treating you kindly today in this moment. And if it is not, then that is my hope for this time that we are together, that you recognize that you are loved, you are special, you are a beauty to me and many others, whether they are realizing it or acknowledging it at all. And I hope that y'all can hear me because I was moving some stuff around. You know how you just do too much. So I was doing too much. And so I hope I haven't ruined anything for anyone, making sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. I'm not quite sure why I can't see what I would like to see on Instagram. Like I'm trying to keep up with all of the different places and spaces that I am. And I want to be mindful of people who may be making comments in all of the places so that I acknowledge your presence because your presence truly is a precious thing to me. So, today, as we did last week, we're going to talk about the emotional reality that we might be finding ourselves in at this particular moment. But for this day, we are going to, not that, Yolanda, we're going to talk about emotional revolution. Because as we started last week, you can hear thank you, my love, for letting me know. As we started last week talking about why feelings are important, why our emotions are something that we should be reconnected to, I I thought about it this weekend. I was like, you know what? let's revisit why it's so important and how do we take care of ourselves. Because for many of us, we are or have become survivalist. We have learned to do particular things to get us from one moment to the next moment to the next moment to the next moment. As things are happening in our lives that are beyond our control, we have learned across our lifespan how to manage. And so most of the time when people are saying, "How you doing?" you're thinking in terms of, "Well, I'm managing." I may not be where I want to be, or I'm in the place that I want to be, but there's this huge responsibility of staying there that I'm worried about. And so as we are talking about our emotions and our feelings, we're going to have to do things differently. We are going to have to do things differently. And so, for those of you who are watching live or watching on the replay, this particular hour and a half, is going to be dedicated to creating emotional care plans, if you will, for yourself. Because if you think that you can do things or receive new things in your life while you're holding on to old emotions or holding on to the way that you feel about things, or, you can't get there. You can't get to new places with old stuff. That's like taking your old luggage from the 80s on a trip right now. People will be looking at you like, you ain't even got no wheels on that suitcase. Because back in the 80s, suitcases did not have wheels. We had to carry those things. And they were all pretty much the same. They were rectangle, big old rectangles. They didn't necessarily come in smaller sizes. So imagine if you were traveling with your 1980s suitcase and trying to get that on an airplane or on a train. First of all, people are going to be looking at you like, why are you dragging that stuff through the airport with no wheels? And where do you think that's going to fit? Same thing is true when you are creating something new in your life. When you have noticed, my life is good, but there's particular things that I would still love to experience. You're not going to be able to get there with the old stuff. And so that's why I said today we're going to talk emotional revolution, because you really are creating something new in your life. And for all of us who have been out here surviving, managing, learning how to feel everything, you have to also learn how to take care of yourself when you start to feel everything. So it's not enough to just start to identify your feelings, which we talked about last week. Once you identify the feeling, what do I do with it? Particularly if you've never felt it at that intensity before, particularly if you have been known to numb or run from particular feelings. If you are now starting to feel and connect to all of that, how are you going to take care of yourself? This is what we're going to talk about. That's revolutionary. Saying that I love myself so much that I'm going to feel everything and I'm going to take care of myself while I'm doing it. Because if you think that you can start to feel all of these different range of emotions and other people are going to rally around you to care for you as you are going through them, it might happen. And if that happens in your life, I am happy for you. The reality for most of us, even those of us who might be in strong families, in strong partnerships with other people, the reality is your emotional stability is your responsibility. And you have to learn, how do I take care of myself emotionally? There's my girl. Hey, Marissa. Marissa's in the house, everyone. And so that's the revolutionary way of thinking, that I'm going to start to feel everything and I'm going to be okay. I'm going to start taking care of myself in a different way. So we're talking about a new way. And you know what I say, it's not hard, it's new. And when things are new and unfamiliar, we have to get used to this new way of being. We want to be perfect from the beginning. We want everything to line up from the beginning. And we don't give ourselves a lot of grace when we are learning to do something new. I don't care how old you are, how smart you are, how far you have gotten your life. Every single time you do something new, something unfamiliar, there needs to be a place where you can feel okay not knowing how it's going, how things are, You have to give yourself the grace to make mistakes, to say, I don't want to do this. This is scary. And all of that is taking care of yourself. What you say, my love? This is good. The self-care part, and that's why I said this, I had to go back, because the self-care part of emotional wellness, we sometimes forget about it. I know I have, and then I'm trying to figure out, why do I feel so alone? Why am I my mood's all over the place? Because I didn't put things in place to say, okay, when you are sad, this is what you're going to give to yourself. When you are feeling this particular way, this is what you're going to do. These are the people you're going to surround yourself with, or these are the people you're going to stay away from. When we are going through whatever we're going through, we have to also recognize what we can and cannot do. Hey, Hope and Victory, how are you, my love? Hope and Victory's in the house. Everybody say hey. And so, yes, that emotional self care is important. First thing, give yourself grace. It's new. It's a new way of being, a new way of thinking, a new way of feeling. Remember last week when we talked about all of the different range of emotions that we may have not even tapped into? We think about being happy, sad, angry, and afraid, when there is a range of emotions with different intensities that really speak to the language of your heart. There is something that happens when you connect what you're feeling to what your heart is trying to express. And for those of us who used to, or even in your very recent past, suppressed or numbed emotions, you will know what it feels like when you hit on something that feels real. I had an experience just on Thursday where I received a service from a company, and I felt good about it. I was like, oh, that was a great interaction, until they tried to charge me for something that I didn't do. And then it just was like all I saw was red. All I like, it took a while for me to even comprehend how I was feeling. And even when I did, I was still on 100. It felt like a setup. It felt like we were having a good interaction, everything was good, and then even thinking about it now, it was upsetting. And so I remember saying to myself, I'm angry, but it wasn't just anger. It wasn't just anger. And I couldn't get to the correct emotion. So I stayed in anger because I wasn't able to come out of it, because I couldn't pinpoint exactly how I felt until I started talking it out with my beloved. And I was like, you know what? I feel violated. So it wasn't necessarily just the anger. I felt violated. And the minute I said I felt violated, I could feel my body saying, yep, that's the feeling. It's not just anger. Because if I had just stayed in anger, then it would have been, I need to hurt somebody, like I'm hurting. And that's sometimes what happens to us. We get stuck in that one emotion because we're not able to articulate what's really, really going on. And then we start to project that. So if I had stayed in anger, I could have been angry at everybody that I encountered. I could have been spreading my anger all over the place. But the minute I felt and said, I feel violated, my body was like, yep, that's it. This feels like a violation. And when I feel violated, I don't know about y'all, but when I feel violated, I feel like I have to do everything in my power to protect myself. Not necessarily fight somebody else, but I need to take care of me. So because I'm focused on the correct emotion, I can take care of myself. If I had just stayed in anger, I could have been angry at everyone until it was resolved. But it wasn't going to be resolved because I couldn't come out of that. So once I was like, I feel violated, and that's exactly what I expressed to the company about how I was feeling. And it wasn't just anger, because I didn't want to come from a place of you did this and you did. I was like, let me explain to y'all what happened and how I feel violated. And now I have to protect myself. Now I have to take care of myself because y'all didn't take care of me. I had the expectation that they would, but they didn't. And so once I expressed to them what I was now prepared to do, not only did they refund me my money, they were willing to do something else. But I said, you know what? This relationship now has come to an end because you didn't do what I expected or what I paid for, in this service. And so now I have to, take this somewhere else. And it happened, I don't want to say it happened like that, but it didn't cause me to be angry Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like I'm good with it. Retelling it, I'm like, I can't believe they did that, but I'm good. I am complete with the whole interaction because I took care of myself, because I connected to the exact feeling, because I didn't just let myself stay in one emotion. I'm like, it's not just anger. And I think for most of us, we have that experience when we touch on something that's happened to us, and we can tell when it's just not that. It's not just that. Of course I'm upset, of course I'm angry, but there's something else going on in my body, in my mind. And of course it brings up all of the other times where I have felt violated, and maybe in those past times I didn't take care of myself. Maybe my level of expectation was skewed in those other times when I thought the person that violated me was also going to make it right. How many of us have been in that frame of mind where someone has caused a violation in our life and we think that they're going to rectify it? Sometimes it happens, but not all times. And so part of taking care of yourself means you can't numb those emotions, because how are you going to check on yourself when you've checked out? And unchecked emotions have a way of wreaking havoc, not just for us, but for other people. How many of us, in the collective consciousness, recognize one or two people get upset and then it kind of filters down where everybody is now upset? Last week, I gave the example of the young lady who faked her kidnapping and how we were all caught up in the emotion of it. We wanted to find this young lady. We were rallying around her family, and how come the police weren't doing more? And bop, 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 bop. Our emotions got all wrapped up until we found out that she lied about the whole thing. And then she became the villain, and we all rallied around. How dare she do that to us? That's what happens when we don't check our emotions, when we're not very clear about what is going on, when we just let somebody else's emotions determine how we're going to feel. And it doesn't mean that you're unloving, uncaring, unfeeling. It means that you are in a place where you recognize how powerful emotions are. I can't tell you, the number of times where someone else was offended and the expectation that we're all offended is now held. We see it now through social media. One person does something, we don't even have all the details, but everybody is rallying around. Maybe you have a favorite television show, and you're like, well, why did they cancel the show? Oh, because we all of a sudden didn't like the guy that was in the show. Well, what did he do? Well, he was mean to his girlfriend. So because he was mean to his girlfriend, we decided that we didn't like him anymore. And so we did everything in our power to ruin his life. Like, that's what can happen when emotions go unchecked, when we're not clear about what we're angry about. It's like we're not supporting that person anymore, and it's like, why? Well, we don't even know, but they did something that we don't like, and because we don't like it, we now have to do something. We are out here ruining people's lives for things that we don't even know what they did. Oh, they broke up, so we can't like that one anymore. Well, why not? We weren't even in the relationship. We don't even know why they broke up. We don't know the intimate details, but all of a sudden, that person is now a villain. We don't like them. We're going to ruin their lives. We're going to go on social media and talk about them. And Unchecked emotions. Now that's on a, collective scale. Imagine what happens in your own life, in your own body, in your own mind when you don't check your own emotions, how they can just run away and have you in places and spaces that you never intended to be, all because you didn't get to the bottom of what is really going on here. So, part of taking care of yourself is starting to feel everything. If you say that you want to do something new, the old way ain't going to work. You can pray about it, fast about it, meditate about it, conjure up some stuff. But if you are not willing to do it differently, if you're not willing to see things differently, hear things differently, and feel things differently, how are you going to progress to the next phase of your life? And as we are talking about power, our emotional power, our mental power, our spiritual power, and yes, our physical power, all of the powers, and you want to be clear, you have to know where it is going. So I hope from last week we've been asking ourselves the question, where's my emotional energy going? And we almost done with February. And like I said, for January, February, March, we're getting clear. Emotionally clear, mentally clear, physically clear, spiritually clear on where our power is going. And I know for me, the past couple of weeks, since the beginning of the year, my emotional energy has been going into places where I'm worrying about the future. My beloved and I talked about this the other night. We are so consumed, not consumed, but we are so worried about the future that we're not paying attention to the present. We're missing things because our power is in places that we haven't even gotten yet. And so how many of us, and it's, absolutely appropriate because the global picture ain't looking too swift. And so that would have you thinking about the future. Am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I going to be able to feed myself? Are we going to war? I see people getting laid off in mass. Am I going to lose my job? Like, of course, you would be emotionally concerned about your future. But if it is consuming most of your power, then how are you going to be clear about what it is that you're going to work on to secure your future? If you're worried about what's going to happen and you're not in the present moment, how are you preparing for that upcoming future? And so that's why January, February, March, we have to get clear before we start talking about the things we want to do, the visions we want to create. And I know that is huge for everyone in the beginning of the year. You set your resolutions and your goals. I say before you even set that goal, be very, very clear about where you are now. And so we're gaining clarity. That requires us to be honest. You got to tell the bald headed, bareheaded truth about where you are emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And you have to then be accountable. If you are honest about those things, you have to pair that with accountability to say, okay, I have not been paying attention to my health physically, mentally, or emotionally. I haven't been connected to my spirituality. Haven't been practicing a thing. Haven't been praying on a regular basis. Haven't been meditating on be honest and then be accountable. And accountability means that not only am I aware that I haven't been doing these things, I'm going to start to create a commitment with some consistency. Commitment and consistency are a couple, as Denzel loves to say. If you are not committed, you will not be consistent. And if you are not consistent, you will not see the end in the outcome that you desire. There has to also be a level of self awareness. When something comes up, similar to the example that I gave, when I recognized that I was angry, I was like, don't just stay there. Not telling myself not to be angry, because I think anger is a lovely emotion. But I needed my body to know that I wasn't just going to stay in anger. I'm going to figure out everything that's going on because it's not just anger you're feeling. You are feeling violated. And when you feel violated, what do? You take care of yourself, you protect yourself. And there has to be some surrender. Surrender to do something, surrendering to doing something new and not go to those old habits, those old behaviors. Surrender to the possibility that you don't know everything and surrender to the possibility that you do know everything. Trusting yourself requires the surrender of fear. Surrender is not a terrible word. It's actually a very powerful word because in the surrender, there is some trust. For all of us that keep saying, I'm going to let go, well, it's not just letting go, it's letting go and trusting and believing and behaving in a way that you trust and believe that all things are going to work out for you, even if it doesn't look like that at that moment. And so as we are talking about revolutionary things and being, you know, a revolutionary emotional being, I hope that you would also consider that as you are feeling all the things with the level of intensity that your body desires. It's not for my benefit, it's for your benefit. For you to get in tune with how intense is this for me? Because if someone asks me, how do you feel? And I say, I feel good, that's not really telling the story. But if I say, I feel ecstatic, you know the level of intensity that I'm feeling. And that is important when you are taking care of yourself and if you are caring for others. We might miss some things if we're not true and honest about the intensity of our feelings. So if you say to someone, I'm doing all right, but you know daggone well it's not I'm doing all right. It's like I'm miserable. How are they supposed to support you and take care of you if all you said was, I feel okay? I One of my coworkers who I think is still getting used to my level of honesty, every time he asks me, how's your day? How you doing? I will be completely honest and tell him. And he is taken aback sometimes by what comes out of my mouth. But I think he's learning to appreciate that I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell him. And so he did something for the building the other day. And I put my hands together and I went like that. I said, thank you so much. You really don't know how much this means to me. And he said, I can tell based upon what you're saying to me. That's how we connect to one another, by being honest about the intensity of our feelings and not feeling like, well, I don't want to tell too much. I don't want them to know how much it means to me. Why? Why do we do that? It's like I said last week, because we're afraid of emotions. We are afraid of our own. We're afraid of other people. Other people tell us how intense they feel about us. Now we feel like we have some responsibility. There's something that we now have to say back. For those of us who don't really know how to hold other people's stuff when they share with us. I saw a video of someone who said, they were honest. It's like, if you're gonna cry and tell me everything that's going, I'm not the person to do that. I said last week, one of my children will tell you that I am not the person that you come and bring all of your stuff to. And that has to be a part of your self care, your emotional self care. You need to know where your safe places are. Not everyone is a safe place. Even if they love you dearly, they may not have the capacity to hold what it is that you're giving, what it is that you're sharing. And we have to identify those places and spaces that are safe. Not everything is safe. And I don't mean that they're going to run and tell your business. I don't mean that they're going to laugh at you. I really do mean, do they have the capacity? because some people also don't have the emotional capacity to hold what it is that you find sacred and true. You ever been excited about something and you share it with somebody that you really love and respect, and they gave you back nothing, and you're like, and you take it personal. You're like, well, dang, did I do something to offend them? That just may be their character. They just may not have the capacity to be excited about the things that you're excited about. And for someone who has decided that they're going to feel everything, that may not be a safe place for you. Doesn't mean it's not loving, doesn't mean they don't care for you. It may not be the safe place that you need to land. And you have to determine what's safe for you. If I'm telling someone a deep emotional story, I don't really need them to cry with me. I actually need them to be neutral. I like people who are able to be neutral and then they hear everything and they don't feel compelled to be swayed one way or another. I love it when I'm able to share what it is that's going on with me and nobody's trying to fix it. That to me feels safe because to me, it means that you can listen without judging, without criticizing. And I also need people to tell me when I'm feeling something and it's ridiculous. Even if I feel strongly about it. I need that. That's what feels safe to me. I don't feel safe with yes people who agree with everything that I say. I actually feel safer with people who are willing to challenge me, but in a way that doesn't feel like they're trying to make me wrong, but that they see me in a way that sometimes I don't see myself. Beloved is good about that. Ooh, we were at dinner the other night. I said something about myself and he was offended. He was like, "Don't you ever say that about yourself again." And I was like, "Yes, sir." Instead of somebody who would be like, "Yeah, I could see you feeling that way just to make me feel better. I don't need you to make me feel better. That's my responsibility and I'm going to get there, but I need a safe place to process that." And so, one of the ways that you can create an emotional care plan is to identify your safe places. Also, making sure that you are connected. I know I have experienced people who are telling me the worst news, but they seem disconnected from all of it. And I'm like, how are you so calm telling me all of these horrific things that have happened to you? Also, people who use laughter as a coping mechanism to make it easier for the person that's receiving the message. I'm thinking of three people right now that I know that do this. And sometimes I feel like, don't do that for my benefit. You don't have to make it light because you don't want me to feel badly about what you're saying. Many people use laughter as a coping mechanism. If I come to you and my eyeliner is all over my cheeks and I am connected to what it is that I'm feeling, I don't need you to do anything. I don't need you to run and get me some tissue and wipe my face. I might just need you to look at me like this is real. But I have to be connected to it. I have to be connected to what it is I say I am experiencing and not like I'm telling some story of people I don't know. Yes, my love. Woo! Listen, I do too. I've done it in the past where I'll even say I got to laugh to keep from crying. Why would we ever want to keep ourselves from crying? Crying is one of the most healing exercises that you can engage in. The more, the merrier. I told you I have a course called Time to Cry. I always think it's appropriate to cry. How many times do we see, people laughing in situations that really aren't funny, but that might be the way they cope? That's what they've learned to survive. Like when we say children are resilient, no, they're not. Children have learned to be survivalists. We all have. Children know how to survive. Children recognize that they are not responsible for how they eat, how they live, how they're cared for. So they got to be kind and gentle to the people who are in charge of that. So it's not that children are resilient, children are survivalists. If we ever wonder, well, how is it that those kids love their mother so much and she's horrible to them? Because they just trying to survive. And we don't need to say that about ourselves either, that we're resilient. I don't really think that that's a honorable characteristic. Tell the truth, we've learned how to survive, but that's not sustainable. That just gets you from this point to this point to this point to this point instead of you being fluid through your life. And so, if laughter for you is a coping mechanism, please make sure it's not disrupting you connecting to the true feeling that is living in your body. Because the number one source of betrayal is not other people, it's us. We betray ourselves more than anybody else could ever betray ourselves when we don't allow ourselves to feel what we are feeling. Whew. And I have to constantly tell myself, don't betray yourself, Yolanda. You know what that feels like. And sometimes we can get over the betrayal of others, but how do you get over the betrayal of your own self when you know that you've denied yourself something, either for someone else's comfort or because you didn't want to connect to the discomfort? Making sure that you have safe spaces to express yourself and making sure that you are the number one safe space by allowing yourself to connect to what you're feeling and not dismissing it, not calling it something else so that it's easier for you to hold because your body is going to tell you the truth. Those emotions that we are unwilling to express, it's still living in you. The energy of it is still living in you. You may not have expressed it or connected with it, but it's living in you and it'll turn into illness. It'll turn into disease. It'll turn into some kind of dysfunction in your body. When you say I'm all in your conversations from last week, listen, and if that is the, synchronization that's happening right now, I love it. I have to be my first safe space and I have to connect to everything that I'm feeling. And I don't know you people in my life who are trying to tell me, oh, that's something else. You can't be mad at them. Why not? If that's what I'm honestly feeling, you got to learn to let that go. I'm not ready yet. I told y'all last week that there were some people I'm still angry at. I'm going to allow myself to work through that emotion because I know it's not just anger, but that's all I got for them right now. And that's the truth. I know, and I'm praying and I'm working on it, and I hope that I can get to a place where I see it differently, but that day is not today. And I'm going to be honest with myself about it. That day is not today. And if they cross my path, I don't know what's going to happen. That's how hurt I am. But that is a hurt that I am responsible for healing. But I'm not going to betray myself by acting like it's not real. Hey, my love. There's my love. Hey, honey. What'd you say, tea time? Woo! Yes, forgiving yourself. And we're going to get there. We're going to talk about that too. And as these things start to come to the surface, you might start remembering, dang, I didn't tell those people exactly how I felt. And now I feel some way. I have had several experiences in my life when I didn't tell someone exactly how I was feeling. And it still bothers me to this day. It could be 12 o'clock midnight. And I'm like, you know what? I really should have told them what I was really feeling. And again, that's a betrayal. I betrayed myself in that instance. And now it's still with me, which is why I felt so good on Thursday to not betray myself again and just take the violation and, let it just stew and stew and stew. It's like our lovely Maya Angelou says, when people show you who they are, believe them. Believe them. Don't betray yourself. Believe yourself. Believe yourself that you see what you see. Now be very, very clear that there might be some other energy along with the emotion and the feeling. Like I'm saying, these people I'm mad at. Um, I know there's a whole lot of stuff connected with it. Probably violation, disregard, all of the stuff is going on. But I'm not going to betray myself by, let me just act like everything is okay, be all up in their face and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Ugh. Even pretending to say it makes my stomach hurt. Like, don't do that. Now, I can tell you that that's what I was taught, as many of us were, as a young girl. I would hear my mother talk badly about people, and then the next breath she'd be on the phone, "Hey girl, how you doing?" And I'm like, "You just said you couldn't stand that lady, and now you on the phone talking nice to her. What's going on there?" We've all witnessed that. I don't want to live my life dishonestly. If I'm feeling something, I want to trust it. Now, there are times when you got so many other things going on with your emotions that what you may not be seeing or hearing things clearly. Be self-aware about that too. Be self-aware about that too when you have other stuff going on. Like you just don't like them. So no matter what you do, you're only going to see it a particular way. Tell the truth about it. Like when everybody else is like, "Oh, I love so and so. They're such a nice person." You're like, now I will be one to say that's not my experience. That may be y'all experience with them. That has not been my experience. But be honest with yourself when you know what you're feeling about someone has other stuff attached to it. Maybe you know something about their history that other people don't know. I know I've been there. Everybody's like, "Oh, they're such a nice person." I'm like, "You don't know what I know about them. I know that that's me being petty." I know that. I'm honest about that. Whew. Yes, the betrayal. And the betrayal, when you can identify it, is also a lesson. Because imagine if you was just walking around here doing it and not aware that you've done it. Listen, aren't you shocked sometimes? I had an interaction with someone, and when I replayed it back in my mind, I was like, "Ooh, I thought that was going to go a different way." Um, but that's also a level of self awareness. Not that you're beating yourself up, but you're like, "Okay, that may not have been my finest hour. That may not have been my finest moment. And I'm going to, I intend to do better." That's what the self awareness, the identification, all of that is for us to see what we need to see and act accordingly, respond accordingly. And so, if you are identifying safe spaces, I hope that's in your emotional care plan. I hope you being connected to what is true for you is in your emotional care plan. Don't be out here betraying yourself. It's going to take a whole lot more work to repair some stuff if betrayal is your first go to. And so, for many of us people pleasers, betrayal is going to be the first move. It's like, I know I'm feeling something, but I'm concerned about their well being. I know I don't like this, but I'm concerned about whether or not they like me. I know I don't want to be here, don't want to do this, don't want to do, but I have to be the nice one. I really don't care if people say that I'm nice at this point in my life. And when people say it, I always chuckle to myself inside, like, if okay, if that's the way you want to see me, then fine. But I'm not trying to be nice. I am trying to be kind and I am trying to be honest, but I'm not trying to be nice. Because I know in the past, nice has gotten me nothing. So I'm not working at being nice to people. I'm working at being true to myself and honest with people. And for me, that means love. So if someone else thinks it's nice, I see it as more opportunities to love because that's what I'm really focused on. Then so be it. But I don't really care if people see me as nice. I hope that I present as truthful, honest, fair, fluid, because I may not be friends with you on Monday, but I hope we can have a conversation with it, so that by Wednesday we're good. But I don't really care about being nice because nice has gotten me in trouble. Being nice has allowed so many violations to happen in my life in the past. And we're not doing that anymore. Trying to be nice. And I know for many of us, particularly those of us women, that's how we were raised, to be nice. And like I said last week, I'm so grateful that grandbaby girl has a strong no and that we let her have that no because that wasn't afforded to me and I didn't afford it to my children either, particularly my daughters. Now they got some strong no's now, but I know those no's came from different places because we were taught as women, as girls, to be nice and to be kind and not to be too much and not to be too much of this. Don't be too smart. Men ain't gonna like you if you're too smart, if you got too much mouth, or you're too. Please, I don't care about being nice. And I hope that as you are exploring your emotions and you are becoming more revolutionary, you don't care about being nice. Nice is for other people. What do you do for you? How are you taking care of your heart? Because baby, let me tell you, if you think that there are other people in the universe whose number one top priority is taking care of your heart, it's not. It's not. It's our responsibility. My emotional stability is my responsibility. I said that to Beloved the other day. I was like, your responsibility is not to impact my happiness, but the creation of the happiness is my responsibility. You said I'm all in your business because I know you a nice lady. I know you a nice lady, but you know what nice has gotten you in the past. Looking at people like, I can't believe you did that to me. I was nice to you. So they don't care. As a matter of fact, I don't know. Um, y'all may not know who I'm talking about, but Karamo is part of the crew that had the show. I think they still have the show Queer Eye. Karamo is a social worker. He has his own show. I don't particularly care for Karamo's show, but there was one clip last week where I was like, you know what, Karamo, you could not have said that any better. There was a man, and he asked the man, him and his girlfriend were having some issues. He asked the man, well, why do you like her? And he said, I love her because she something like she holds me down, or she, to something to the effect of she does what I want her to do. And Karamo said to her, I hope you were listening. He didn't say anything else about you other than the fact that you let him do what he wants to do and you don't hold him accountable. And so that is the basis of your relationship. If you weren't allowing him to act a fool in the relationship, he wouldn't be in the relationship. And of course, the girl's looking all crazy. It's like, yeah, because that's what we were told, to be nice, to be, giving, to just make sure everybody else is comfortable. And what does it get you? Nothing. You have to be kind to you. And then you will attract energy that aligns with that. But if you are out here just being nice to everybody please stop it. Yes. No is a complete sentence. Absolutely not. I hope my beloved does not feel some kind of way about me about to share this story. Um, when we were first getting to know one another, and we were having a moment. We were having a moment, and his response was not to my liking. And so my response to him later on, because at that moment we needed to separate, we couldn't really talk because we weren't talking to each other. We were talking at each other. And I said to him, not in so many words, but please be clear about the type of man that you're going to be in this relationship. Because there are particular things that I'm not okay with. And the way that we were talking to each other is one of them. And I had to be clear about that. And I had never done that before in any relationship that I had ever been in. I had just allowed people to talk a particular kind of way and felt like, okay, well, we'll get past it. But in this relationship, and I will say for the both of us, we are very, very clear about what's okay. And I can remember a time when my beloved, said to me, "This just does not work for me. You're gonna have to figure something else out." And I'm like, and I had to be accountable that my behavior was unacceptable to him, and I had to figure out if I was going to change that behavior or keep doing it and potentially lose this relationship. And so I had to say, you know what, you're right. I can't be old Yolanda in this new thing. I have to learn to do this differently if I want this relationship to be sustainable. And so you have to be clear with everyone you are in relationship with. I don't care if that relationship is 5 minutes in a supermarket. People talking to you, saying things to you, doing things to you. And there are ways to set those boundaries that are not harmful or make you come across as, some ogre. But every interaction, you have to be clear about who you are and how you feel. You have to be. You have to be. And that brings us to the third thing about expression. How do you express your emotions? Are you clear? Are you clear about the language that you use? Are you clear about the energy that you hold, where you're saying one thing, but your body language is saying something else? Because if you are not clearly expressing the way that you feel, how are other people supposed to know? We just assume that everyone knows us. And one of the things that I love about my relationship is that we consistently say we are still learning. I'm still learning about who I am. I can't expect someone who doesn't know me or hasn't known me, even the people who have known me for all of the soon to be 53 years I've been on this earth. They still don't know me. They still don't know me. I don't know me. So if I'm not able to express myself accurately, how are other people supposed to know? That has to be part of your emotional care plan. Are you expressing yourself? Or are you just assuming that everybody knows how you feel? Because they're going to get it wrong every time. And so last week, when we talked about the feelings wheel, here's mine. Here's my feelings, emotions wheel. And then on the back, this is what I use with some of my clients. On the back, I have different emotions. This is emotions vocabulary list. And because I'm a Reiki master, I got my chakras with all of the different emotions. Um, there are so many different ways that we can learn to express how we're feeling. I remember I was in a one-on-one client situation with a person who just didn't express themselves emotionally. And I could tell the more questions I was asking, the more I wasn't getting anything. And so I said to them, if If we use colors, would that help you? And they were like, sure. I said, so tell me the story again, but use colors. And so they're telling me the story again about this falling out that they've had with a family member. And they said, when I first got there, I was on orange. And the more they kept talking, I went to red. And I was like, got it. That makes more sense to me than this bland story you're telling me about why you no longer speak to the person that raised you. Like they were telling me this story, and I'm like, something ain't adding up. You're telling me the details, but you're not telling me how you felt. I need to know how you felt so I can understand what it meant for you. And so by them using colors, we were able to connect. And as we went on, I, asked them about their significant other. And when they said, oh, I feel blues and yellows and greens around there, I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about. That I get. And so for us, for all of us who find it difficult to just express ourselves through words, use whatever you can use. Expand your vocabulary so it's not just limited to I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry. That is one of the reasons the emotion wheel is helpful. That is one of the reasons, learning different ways and intensities of emotions is helpful. This is a book that was given to me by a client a couple of years ago. It's called The Book of Qualities by J. Ruth Gendler. Ooh, look how good that is. I usually don't do too well at putting things on screen. And so why I love this book is because there are a list of different qualities. And y'all see I've highlighted some. And it talks about those qualities in a way that may make it easier for people to understand. And so I'm going to choose one. Um, mm, so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is guilt. Guilt is the prosecutor who knows how to make every victim feel like the criminal. Now, if I said that to you, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's what guilt feels like." She follows the scent of doubt and self-hatred to its sources. She will not tell you what you have done wrong. Her silence is brutal. Her disapproval surrounds you in an envelope of cold, nameless terror. Now, if you don't understand what different emotions are from reading this, I don't know what else to tell you. This is another book that I discovered during the pandemic. It's called Feelings. And I love that there are illustrations that go along with the different emotions. When we were at the art museum last weekend, we were surrounded by emotions. Like you could feel what the artist was trying to convey. And for some people, that is the way they express. So part of your care plan has to be the expression of what you're feeling. Not only does it need to be in a safe place, not only do you need to be connected with it, but you need to actually express it. It's not enough for you to tell people, I'm sad. It's not. Stop using that word. Let me see if I can. Manjeet Thap. Manjeet Thap is the author of Feelings, a story in seasons. Oh, and that might be where you go with it. You get yourself a beautiful journal and you start writing down what you're feeling. And the next thing you know, you got a whole classic portrait or something else. For many artists, they aren't able to express with words how they feel or how they see things. And it comes out in art. We went to a concert this weekend, and you could tell that there was this collective feeling in the building from the artist. That's what good art does. It gets you to feeling. Before we came on, I was listening to D'Angelo Voodoo, that Voodoo album. Let me tell you something. with apologies to my beloved, that album, every time I listen to it, it takes me places. So for me, music helps me express what I'm feeling. So if do not limit yourself to words, is what I'm trying to say. Do not limit yourself to words. Surround yourself with different expressions of emotions, and then you may start to feel that connection where you feel comfortable expressing yourself. If I listen to Aretha Franklin, you know how there are particular artists, and maybe you had this experience growing up that when your parents put on a particular album, you knew what time it was. Like for my dad, if he had the OJs on, I knew he was in a good mood. I knew he was in a good mood. But if he put on like some blues or something, get out the house. It's not a good moment for anyone. Pay attention to what changes your mood or changes your emotion. Earlier this morning, I was listening to opera because that makes me feel a different way. When you get to a point when you are ready to feel everything and express everything, you will feel everything in other realms. Like music moves you and art move. Like it's why I was crying at the art museum because I'm like, look at all of this beautiful expression of emotion. I love it. I love it when people are not afraid to show their heart. And so, if you have been numbing, if you have been avoiding, why? Why are you afraid of you and what you're feeling? Could it be that you never learned how to do that when you were younger? So here we are as adults trying to figure it out? Could be. Recognizing and becoming self aware at when you're doing it. Because when you don't express what you are feeling, it is a betrayal to your spirit. It's a betrayal to your spirit. Your humanness may not understand what's going on, but your spirit knows exactly what is going on. You can't fake that. You can fake it with other people, but you can't fake it with your own body. When you have an immediate reaction to something and you try to suppress it, and then you don't give yourself the opportunity to process what it is that you're feeling. Or you say, I'll deal with that later, and later never comes. Recognizing that as you are becoming more revolutionary about your emotions, you will get to a place, I'm telling you, you will get to a place where you're more regulated and you're not necessarily feeling everything with such intensity. When the emotions that you carry are neither one way or another, I'm telling you, that's when you're trusting yourself. When you can absolutely be in an experience and still be in control of how it moves you, that's when you know you're connected. You're not afraid to feel anything. You can feel everything. And I've heard people say, like, I'm an empath, and I feel we're all empaths, every single one of us. Now, whether or not that is something that you are connected to, I can't say, but I can say we are all empathic, every single one of us. Don't think you out here being special, calling yourself an empath, because we all are. But if you have gotten to a place where you can allow those things to be around you, within you, and you can regulate it. I was telling Beloved the other day, like, you have no idea, I tell him all the time, what you do for my nervous system because I'm allowed to rest around you. I don't feel like I have to do or be any particular thing because it's work. Being nice and kind and loving when all of this stuff is going on that we have to process, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But when you have finally gotten to a place where you have reconnected to your emotions and you have that level of awareness and freedom and acceptance, and you're like, and you may even catch yourself. You're like, why am I putting so much energy into feeling a particular way about something I have no control over? I have no control over how other people feel about me. So why am I putting so much energy towards it? Why am I not trusting myself? Did I do my best? Then the hell with what anybody else has to say. I know I did my best, but if I'm honest with myself and I know that I didn't, then what they're saying may have some validity. And so I'm not looking to feel any particular way. I know we all want to feel happy all the time, but that comes with a cost too. Trying and trying and trying to be happy, be happy, be happy, be happy. That's not realistic. I can be immensely happy and absolutely devastated at the same time. That's how complex we are. As human beings, that is how complex we are. We have this full range of emotions, but if we are just going to limit ourselves to the ones that we like, or the ones that we're used to, or the ones that get us the things that we want, because that's something that children do too. If I behave a particular way, the people that are in charge of taking care of me will take care of me in a different way. Like I said, children are not resilient, they're survivalist. We all are. Don't be afraid of you where you feel like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to process that. It's a part of you and it's miraculous. I find it to be a miracle that I'm not cussing people out on a daily basis. I see stuff and I'm like, phew, old Yolanda probably would have cussed you out by now because I wasn't able to regulate my own emotions based upon what other people were doing. I mind my business. Now I see people doing something, it might upset me, but not to the point where it now has me caught up in a, emotional tornado. And now I can't think clearly. It may happen. Like on Thursday when they tried to take my money, I had a moment where I was like, I don't even, and it's like, okay, take a breath. Don't let this be a moment where you lose yourself and you're unable to get the resolution that means the most to you. And that was get my money back and making sure that I did not interact with this company anymore because you violated me. You violated the terms of our agreement. So therefore, I have to say goodbye. No second chance. That's another thing. We love to give people second, third, fourth, fifth chances. At whose expense? You don't get another chance to disappoint me. Now, you're my family, you're my friends. That's different. But our relationship was a business transaction. You violated the terms of that agreement. We don't do business anymore. I'm not going to give you another chance to take my money again. Absolutely not. Now, something my beloved daughter said, working on boundaries yourself. Yes, ma'am. That's part of you being your safe place. And remember, we're creating boundaries, not walls, not fences that have barbed wire on the top, but boundaries that are clear. And how do you set a clear boundary if you're not clear about the way you feel? If you've betrayed the way you feel, your boundaries going to look like a thin piece of paper. If you're thinking solely about the other party, then the boundaries are not really for you, it's for them to make sure they're okay. But if you want to be in interactions with people, it's a two-way street. You have to let people know what is your boundary, a healthy one, and how are they going to know if you don't express it? Because a lot of us will set a boundary in our mind and just assume that people will know. Everyone is different. And sometimes your boundaries may change based upon the level of comfort that you have with yourself. I never thought I would be on God's green earth loving another human in the way that I am. Are you kidding me? It's nonsense. That's what I thought. And so your boundaries might change. Once you become safer in here and complete in here and connected in here, your boundaries might look different. But you better have some. You better have some. We better all have some. Now, Chi Town, what you doing up at 3 a.m.? Oh, drinking tea and listening to. Oh, yes, processing emotion. I love it. I love it that you were taking the time. Doesn't matter when the time is. And if that was the time for you to do that, I'm grateful that you were willing to do that. I love when art sparks something within you that you didn't even know. I love when I listen to music that I've been listening to for a long time and the lyrics just hit differently because of who you are and where you are as a person. Like I was listening to D'Angelo and I'm listening to the lyrics. I'm like, oh, I must have missed that a couple of years ago. It feels differently because we are different. Hey, Miss Giselle. I'm so glad that you are as well. I really am. Like, how can I convey this emotion? Let me where's my emotion chart so I can tell y'all that it doesn't just make me happy, energized, enthusiastic, uplifted. That would be the emotion that I would express. It really does uplift my spirit in ways that y'all may never know. Cause it up in here, whew, so much goes on up in here, as I'm sure it does for you too, where we're all like, should I be doing this? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? Ah, hey, my purple princess. We all have these questions. The one thing you shouldn't really question is how you feel. Be clear about it. Even when other people try to tell you you're wrong, stand on that. If you know you feel a particular way about something and everybody's trying to convince you not to feel that way, that's their issue. You might need to process why you feel the way you feel. Like I am continuing to process why I feel the way I feel about those particular individuals who technically did not harm me physically, but they hurt my heart. If I have to be honest, but they hurt my heart in a way that I hope can be repaired. I really hope it can be repaired. But as of today, February 18th at 2:44 Eastern Standard Time, it's not repaired yet. I'm still angry. I'm still upset. I'm disappointed. Let me look at my feelings wheel so I can tell y'all what else I am. Because it's not anger alone. It's not. It's oh, dejected. Yep, I feel dejected, confused, dismayed. No, no, they were true to form. So I'm not dismayed. They operate, and if my mother were living, she would say, "Why are you surprised?" I'm not surprised by the behavior, but it still hurts. It still hurts. But they are true to form. Behaved in the ways that they've always behaved. It just you hope that in under different circumstances that people would behave differently. But what do you do when they don't? You have to process that. What was your level of expectation? What did you think was going to happen? Certainly not what did happen, but that's for me to process and come to terms with. And I ain't there yet. So I'll let y'all know how that goes. And so as we are becoming emotionally revolutionary, like when you think about a revolution, you literally are saying, I am overthrowing the old regime. It doesn't work. for this new version of me that is being created. And while I'm doing that, I have to recognize and acknowledge and give myself grace because it's new and it's a whole lot of work. Feeling everything is a whole lot of work. It will take you to places that you didn't expect to go. It might have you on the floor crying one minute, laughing the next. Trust all of it. Trust all of it. And intend to check what you can check. It doesn't mean that you're going to catch everything. You might find yourself behaving in the ways that you used to in the past. This is not about perfection. This is not about you, becoming the container for everyone else's emotions. This is about you feeling regulated in your body, where you are no longer saying to yourself, I felt crazy today. I was high, and then I was low, and I was. How about that's normal? Where do we get this idea that we have to be one way or another? Why we can't be all the ways? If I have all the emotions, why I can't feel all of them at the same time? We are incredibly diverse in that way. And to subject ourselves to the limitation of just a couple of emotions, it's ridiculous. You're more than just happy or sad. You're more than just angry or afraid. You're more than that. We are more than that. Allow ourselves to be all of those things. Give yourself permission to feel whatever it is that you are feeling. And don't let anybody else make you feel bad about it because you're processing and you're learning something new. We're not really taught how to do that. I find it interesting that at the child care center, we have feelings on as part of our theme, part of our curriculum. And it's like, well, how do you teach feelings? And I don't know that you can really teach a feeling, but you can certainly create an environment where feelings are okay, all of the feelings. But then what do we do to children? When they cry, we try to stop it. When they're angry, we try to stop it. It's like we only want them to feel things that we can manage. And so it's interesting to me that we have feelings in the curriculum, and yet we're trying to manage those feelings all the time. We're trying to control those feelings all the time. We want everybody to be friends. Everybody's not supposed to be friends. We want everybody to share. Guess what? You're not supposed to share with everyone. You want me to share with the little boy that just slapped me in the face? Are you kidding me? What is that teaching me? That my feelings don't matter? You want me to make nice with the bully? What are you teaching me in that moment? That their behavior goes unchecked? That's why we have so many bullies running around now, saying whatever they want to say, and nobody's checking them because we think that's okay. It's like, well, we just have to become more compassionate. Well, who's having compassion for us while the bullies are running the world? Who is making sure that we are emotionally regulated while the emotionally unregulated are running around creating all kind of havoc? We have to become so clear about how we're feeling so we can let people know. I'm telling you, I wish I could tattoo it on inside of my eyelids. The Zora quote that if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say that you liked it. How many times do we blame people for the pain that has been caused by other people? Well, that's just how they are. Well, that's not right. So when is somebody going to check their behavior instead of checking my emotions about their behavior? You're telling me I shouldn't be upset, but you're not telling them to stop acting like a maniac. Make it make sense. So, for those of us who are doing our damnedest to be regulated humans, knowing that that is a temporary state, our humanness is temporary. But for those of us who are doing our damnness every single day to try not to wreak havoc in other people's lives and in our own lives, who are trying to manage all of the stuff that we are processing, who are trying to speak the language of our hearts, but we haven't even been connected to our hearts, even know what language it is. For those of us who are trying, I say to you, give yourself grace. It's not easy. It's new. It's not easy. It's a new way of, it's a revolutionary way of being where we are freely connected and expressing what's going on in here. And it doesn't always have to be for other people's comfort. So if you ask me, Yolanda, how are you feeling? I actually feel quite good today. I don't know how I'm going to feel in an hour, but check back in with me if you're really interested. And if you're not really interested in how people are feeling, then don't ask them. Don't say how you're feeling. Or I like to ask, how is your heart today? How is your heart? Is there something you need? Not saying that I'm the one to be able to give it to you, but I certainly don't want to prevent it from being placed in your life. But we have to determine what those things are. And how do you determine what you need emotionally if you're not feeling everything? If you're denying parts of you, how do you get your needs met fully? How do you set the expectation for yourself if you're not even clear about what it is that you need? And not feel ashamed for asking for it. But that's next week. It's like, okay, now we're feeling all of the things. Now we got to ask for things? Yes. We'll talk about that next week because I know that terrifies people to, for those of us who don't like help, who are severely independent. Learning how to ask for things that you need is also part of the emotional revolution. It should never be a horrible thing for you to say that I need love. We need love like we need air to breathe, water to drink, and rest and sleep. And some of us don't even believe we need rest and sleep. Natasha up at 3 a.m. drinking tea and listening to Kendrick. Some of us don't believe that we need proper rest and sleep, but we do. And we need love and we need affection and we need care. We need these things and we need to be able to ask for it in places that we know it's available. What a horrible thing to be in a human interaction with someone and there's something you need, you ask for it, and you don't receive it. You might be asking the wrong people, you might be asking in the wrong places. But if I am in relationship with you and we are having a reciprocal relationship, it shouldn't be too much for me to ask for your attention. And I don't necessarily mean that we come out and say, I need attention. There are ways to express that, but we just think people are just going to know. Well, he should know that if I come in the room and sit next to him and rub my feet on him, he should know that I need attention. Why would he know that? Why are you assuming and then penalizing the other person because they can't pick up on your hints and signs? Why can't you just be an adult and ask for it? We'll talk about that next week. But for right now, I want us to be centered on the fact that you are an emotional revolution. I don't know if you've ever thought about yourself in that way. I would offer that you do. to start thinking about yourself as being the revolution in your life. It's not out there, it's not other people, it's not whoever wins, the next election. Hey, you are the revolution. You have to create the transformation. You can't buy it. Now, there are things that can support you, but you can't buy it. You can't take it from someone else. It really begins with you intending to change the way that you feel about yourself, the way you feel about the world you live in, the way you see things, hear things, process things. So, this is the meditation portion of our almost hour and a half. I love beautiful chorus. I love beautiful chorus. You are forgiven, Natasha, for being up at 3 a.m. If you were listening to Kendrick and some beautiful, beautiful chorus, all is forgiven. That was good for your spirit. And so, yeah, we are the emotional revolution in our lives. And so, wherever you are, hopefully that you are not affecting someone else's revolution, but think about yourself. Start to take some deep breaths. Recognize and realize that you are your own universe. We talk about the universe and the stars and the planets and all of the things that we have yet to discover when you are your own universe. And what is within you is similar to the universe that we know of and that we adore and are amazed by. How are you not amazed by your own personal universe? The way your mind operates, the way your body moves. Just as magical as the sun and the moon and all of the other things in our universal system, what's in you is also a universe. Your smile is like the sun. Your eyes are like the moon. Your heart is like the Milky Way. Start to see yourself as its own personal universe. How are you in command of the universe that you have been given? How do you allow your emotions to push and pull you like gravity? I like that. Because they will. Your emotions can push you forward or pull you back. Just like the gravitational pull of the universe, if we are not checking it, if we are not certain, if we are not clear, if we don't recognize that every single thing is a lesson for your evolution and for the revolution, even those things that broke your heart contains within them some lessons for you to learn. How did you feel? And did you allow that feeling to be processed and expressed freely? Or did you shut it down, disregard it? Did you not let that feeling guide you to the truth of what was going on in your mind and in your body? As humans, we may not always have understanding of the things that we experience and go through, the people that we come in contact with. But do not forget that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. And your spiritual self has a full understanding of everything that's going on. There is nothing that you have missed spiritually. Nothing. You're taking it all in and it's held in your universe, in your body. You haven't missed a thing. Your humanness may have shut it down. The ego loves to filter things out. Well, we don't want to remember that. We want to remember that. We want to remember that differently. We want to act like that didn't happen. We want to remember that that happened, but only parts of it. That's what our humanness will do. But your spiritual self feels everything. And the reason why your spiritual self has to feel everything is so that you can be led into places that your humanness won't let you go. You're too afraid. I'm too afraid to deal with that as a human. But your spiritual self says, go there. There's something for you to see, something for you to learn. And your emotions, if you trust them, will show you the truth every time. So you're not constantly telling yourself that you're wrong. If we spent more time telling ourselves we were right, we might just get to some solutions to things that we see as problems. Or maybe we would start to see everything as a lesson to say, there's something for me to learn here. I'm not being traumatized and hurt and harmed, even though that is part of our human experience. I need to see something. And hopefully, which is my prayer, hopefully my anger will lead me to understanding. And I hope my sadness leads me to a level of self awareness about how strong I really am. I hope any experience of loneliness will lead me to true connection. Because when I'm by myself and I connect to myself, I may be better able to connect with others. I want to feel everything. If something has broken my heart, I want to know why. What was the expectation? What did I think was going to happen? And why would I betray myself in that way? Or look at how hopeful I am. I want to see all parts of who I am, and I know my emotions will lead me that way. And prayerfully, I will get to a place where I don't deny anything that I'm feeling, but I'll get to a place where I'm able to regulate it. Not that I'm numb, but that I'm neutral, where I'm able to process through my thoughts first before I land on any particular feeling that's not even based in truth. I love everything about me. I love everything about you. And I trust that we are getting to a place where we are creating a revolution in our lives, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, where we see ourselves differently. Not the way the world says we're supposed to, but what feels true and honest in here. Because I'm going to trust this place inside of me. I have to trust my heart. It's keeping me alive. I better trust my heart. Because we know even if there's no brain activity, there's got to be heart activity. And so, with every beat of my heart, I trust that I am learning to believe myself more and more and more. Where I recognize I am the revolution that I've been looking for, the new thing. It's me. I am in charge of that transformation. And I'm getting ready to feel all the things. And I am going to create and cultivate those safe places. I'm going to connect to everything that's going on in my body. I'm going to express myself fully. And perhaps I'll start to express myself in ways that I was too afraid to explore. I'm going to give myself full permission to allow all of the energy that is residing within me to be on full display, because all parts of me are beautiful and deserving of recognition. And that made me get some goosebumps. All parts of me are deserving of recognition. Do you believe that about yourself? That all parts of you are deserving of recognition? Every single thing. Even the things that other people don't want to see still deserve to be recognized. I had a moment the other day, Friday, where I was trying to hide part of myself. And as I was doing, I was like, why are you doing that? If you want people to love you, don't you want them to love all of you? So why are you hiding that part? Why do we do that? Because somewhere in our being, we are telling ourselves it's not good enough. They won't appreciate it. You have to appreciate it. You have to love it. I guarantee you, when you are in love with something fully, you're going to find the people that are in love with it as well. It might surprise and shock you. The things that you love, where you were like, I'm not sharing that with anybody. And you start to fully express that, and then boom, here comes somebody else like, oh, you love that too? I thought I was the only one that loved that. Don't give people the limited version. Don't give people the limited version of you. Give them all of who you are. And there are some of you who are in this comment section that have gifts and talents that you put on full display. It is such an inspiration. You probably don't even know the number of people that are inspired by you being your full, authentic self. And here we are, spoon feeding people parts of us. Well, I'm not going to show that. And I do it all the time, all of the time. And I can't tell you how many people that had interactions with where they have been either giving me a reading or pulling some cards, who have pulled my card to my face like, well, why you ain't tell nobody you know how to do this? And I'm like, I don't know. Because somewhere inside of me, I'm like, it's not good enough. Good enough for who? It has to be good enough for you. And the more that I've been interacting with artists and works of art, I'm starting to recognize, what if those people all had the same thought? Oh, it's not good enough. There would be no, institutions of art, no concerts to go to, because they'd be like, nobody want to hear me sing. And you know how many people who may or may not really have the talent that are out there doing it anyway. And you're like, wow, that's really brave of you. It is. You know how brave you have to be, where you know you really can't sing and you still out there singing in front of thousands. That's really, really brave to be able to do that. And here there are many of us hiding our talent because we don't feel strongly about it. And that might be the way that you express yourself in the greatest way. It may be. Maybe one of the reasons you feel stunted emotionally, because you are limiting the way that you express yourself. Now, all of these words and colors and stories and faces and movement, it's all wonderful. Are you utilizing it? Are you utilizing it in your day-to-day living? I was cleaning up my kitchen and I noticed this sticky note was on something that I ordered. I noticed it when I got it, but I had forgotten about it until I was ready to throw the box out. And I was like, what is this? Oh, I forgot. So I ordered something off Amazon. It was delivered, and whoever the delivery person was took the time to do this. I don't know if y'all can see it. It says "Go Sports Teams" because I think it was during the Super Bowl. Although we weren't ordering for the, I wasn't ordering for the Super Bowl, but it says "Thank you, Yolanda," and it has stoplight art. So when they were at the stoplight delivering my stuff, they made this cute little bird, and I'm like, you know what? It may not have meant anything to them, and it may have not meant anything to me at the moment when I found it the first time, but when I was getting ready to throw the box away, it it made me feel like a little if this is like a little love note from a stranger. And if they were willing to go that extra mile to make me feel that way, if they were willing to express how they were feeling through this little art, and now they don't know. I hope wherever this beautiful human being is, I hope the world is appreciating your beauty. But it did. It meant a lot to me. And I was like, I have to acknowledge that it's things like this, people expressing themselves in different ways that mean a lot. And if we all did more of that, maybe we wouldn't feel so badly about where we are in the world. So I'm going to keep it. I was going to throw it away with the box. I was like, no, somebody took the time at the stoplight to draw you a little picture, put your name on it, and say thank you. I'm going to keep it. I don't know. I might come across that person again someday. Or I may now be inspired to do something similar, to make someone's day, to express myself in other ways. Last week we had Valentine's Day, and at the child care center, it just was a good day. The teachers were making things and giving to one another, and the kids were feeling good. And I'm like, why can't it be like that every day? Where we are always expressing how much we love one another or how happy we are to be in each other's presence. Why can't we do that every day? That would be an emotional revolution where all of us are expressing how we feel on a daily basis. Doesn't necessarily always have to be loving and happy and good, but if we felt safe enough to say, I don't feel good today, and I need to express that. And not that I need anybody to do anything about it, it's just me expressing how I feel. I hope that as you move through this week, you start to recognize and realize how revolutionary you are in every waking moment. And even when you're sleeping, you are so magnificent with the power that we have within us to transform things like that. Like, they didn't know that this little sticky note was going to make me feel the way that I feel, and that I was going to carry this for, I don't know how long I'll carry it. We don't know the impact that our expressions have on other people, but if we never express it, we're never going to know. And so I offer to you, it's Sunday, I offer to you this week, express yourself more. Tell people how you feel. It doesn't just have to be the warm, fuzzy, loving things. If something is upsetting you, don't betray yourself by eating that. Because you know that's literally what happens when we're not expressing our emotions. We start to eat them, we're drinking them, we're smoking them, we're sexing them, we're shopping. I need to feel better. Let me go buy some shoes. I need to feel something. Let me go start an argument. I need to process something. I'm not going to talk about it with them. I'm going to talk about it with everybody else except the person that I need to have the conversation with. Denying your right of expression. I'm so glad because I needed the reminder too. I did. I do need the reminder. When I'm biting my tongue, now I'm going to switch over in for just a minute. I'm going to switch over into Reiki and chakra energy. This right here, part of your throat chakra, whoo, it's a powerful energy portal. When you're biting your tongue and you're not expressing yourself, baby, it's right next to your heart. The throat chakra is right next to your heart. Don't do that to your heart. We really do ourselves a disservice by not expressing what it is that we're feeling. It's whew, don't do it. Don't do it. Now there might be a moment where you have to get very clear about how you're going to express. But don't let the moment escape you as you're processing and then you're like, well, maybe I'm not going to say anything. That energy is still going to be within you. Whether it comes out of this portal or not, that energy is still going to be in your body. Do something to take care of yourself. Make sure you have safe spaces. Make sure that you are your own safe space, that you can emotionally hold what you need to hold. Because if you feel like you can't do it safely, then you might need to speak to someone. Make sure you're connected to the actual feeling. And the example I gave earlier, I thought it was anger. It wasn't just anger. I felt violated. So make sure you're connecting to the emotion that your body is trying to express. Because if you just saying what sad, happy, angry, or fear, you might miss something. And you might start projecting something that's not true to what it is you're actually feeling. When they say hurt people, people with unchecked emotions hurt people. People who haven't processed how they're feeling hurt people. People who don't know how to express themselves hurt people. Don't be one of those people. Take care of your throat chakra. Take care of your heart. Take care of all of the parts of who you are by expressing yourself in ways that are revolutionary because you haven't done it before or you're doing it in a new way, a beautiful way, a true and honest way where you are committed to honoring your heart and honoring yourself. I'm telling you, you're going to feel good. Even if the expression may not land a particular way, there may not be anything you can do with that. I can express how I feel. I can't control how people receive it. But if I know that I was clear in expressing the way that I feel, I have to feel good about that, even if I don't feel good about the outcome. I said, as they say, I said what needed to be said in the way that I needed to say it. You are so absolutely welcome. Yeah, I did too. Child, I did too. Because I recognize a lot of my overwhelm and burnout was not expressing what I'm feeling, but also having to be very clear about what I'm feeling. And ultimately recognizing that most of it didn't even have anything to do with other people. It was me thinking a particular way, feeling a particular way that wasn't aligned with the truth. And once I was able to express that through journaling and through self-awareness, it's like, you making up stuff, Yolanda. Nobody even said that. So why do you feel that way? I hope that this week is honest to you. I hope that this week is revolutionary to you. I hope that you give yourself grace. I hope that you recognize that as a revolutionary being, you may not have all of the answers at first, but you're going to get them because it's for your own healing, it's for your own stability, it's for your own sanity. And so, do y'all remember what I said we're going to do next week? The 25th, we're going to talk about love. What does it have to do with emotion? Because it's one of the highest emotions that any one of us can feel. And we need more love stories. So be prepared next Sunday, whether it's in the comments or whether I send y'all the link to add to join me on screen. We're going to talk about love and not just romantic love. Romantic love is nice, but it's not the only source of love. Yay! Tell me what you think. Even if you've only read the introduction, tell me what you think. I think I'm going to, let me not commit to rereading it because I say I'm going to reread that and I'm supposed to be reading 20 million other books. But I'm so glad that you did. And I'm so glad that you're excited. I'm excited too. I'm excited to just talk about love. Love, 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 love in all of its forms. And perhaps it will inspire us to be more committed to creating more love for ourselves and love in our life and to see things as an opportunity to love. So, as we're going through our revolutionary emotion, one of the questions that you can ask yourself is, where is the opportunity for me to love in this situation? Where is the opportunity for me to create more love for myself? When those the text messages from old people, exes come, please ask yourself, where is the opportunity for me to love myself in this moment? Don't answer the text. Ignore it. Don't even engage with it. Look for opportunities to love yourself more. We'll talk about it next Sunday. I'm so excited. Um, I love me. I love you. I love us and what we have created in this space. We went long today, but it was necessary because I know I need to remind myself that my emotions are one of the most powerful gift that I have from the creator, and it's my responsibility to regulate them in such a way that they lead me to the places that I may be afraid to go, but it's necessary for my healing and for my journey to my true self. And I hope the same is true for you. I love y'all. See y'all next Sunday where we get to talk about love. And again, if you want to send me something that you want to talk about, there's my email address. So if you want to send me a story about love that I could read, I would appreciate that. If not, um, if you want to join me on online on screen next Sunday, shoot me an email and I'll send you the link. We're gonna have fun next Sunday. I mean, we have fun every Sunday, but we're gonna have a lot of fun next Sunday. I love y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Be good to yourself. Be revolutionary to yourself. Do not betray yourself. And if you feel a betrayal about to rise in your spirit, take a breath and say, I'm a revolutionary and I'm going to do something different. I'm going to speak what I'm feeling. Okay? I love y'all. Have a great rest of your Sunday.